Central Florida Salute YouTube. Once again, I'm here at Eagles Area 4273. Thank you for your hospitality and allowing us to come in here. And I am very lucky to have a Army veteran who served during Vietnam, and her name is Charlotte Wilson, aka Sarge.
Yep.
I've met you a couple of times, but this is really the first time I've gotten a chance to talk to you. And I'm glad you're coming on our show.
Well, thank you for having me.
Oh, it's an honor, really. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself, Charlotte. Where were you born and
Oh, wow.
school?
Okay, yeah, I'm an Okie. I was born and raised in Oklahoma, and I enlisted from Oklahoma in 1969 into the Army, Women's Army Corps. Very proud, hoorah, that I am a WAC, crazy WAC, and I wanted to go in not because of the Vietnam going on, but my father was World War II. And I love my daddy, and I wanted to be like Dad, and he was a E7 in the Army Air Force, and so that was my pride, you know.
And he received 2 Bronze Stars.
Yes.
And never said a word, according to what I read.
Never said a word. Never, you know, World War II they never talked about World War II, what they went through and stuff.
A lot of them don't. A lot of them do.
Afterwards, you know, later. But you know, Dad, because I tried to talk to him before about you know, what'd you do, you know, because he was Army Air Force and he was in the bush. And so I saw the pictures, you know, with his guys and, you know, out on the beach and, you know, hanging and doing all this, and the planes, you know, that he did. But he didn't say too much. Everything was, it was all the netting and all.
Yeah.
But, yeah, my sister, when he passed, you know, I was living in Massachusetts, and she says, "Are you sitting down?" I go, "No, why?" You know, I could go back to the desk, you know, and she said, "You better," because she knows how dedicated with me being in the service. And she said, Dad, I found Dad's papers, and there is a heavily redacted, document, but yet is very pronounced, you know, that he received a Bronze Star, and then she found the second one that stating he had a Bronze Star, but the reasons why, you know, everything was redacted. But I, needless to say, started crying because that, you know, I was very honored for that. And but I joined the service, Women's Army Corps, and
Why did you join the service? Could I ask you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, because Vietnam was going. I'm from Oklahoma, you know, and Oklahoma, the belly of the states are armed services. You know, everybody joins and stuff. And Dad was I joined to help, you know, and I already was doing medical stuff, and I enjoy, and I am a caregiver. You know, I help people. You know, if you need something, I'm there.
I got a roof. I need a new roof.
Well, that's a little bit hard for me these days. Now, if you caught me when I was younger, I could, you know, do that, because I finished off my basement.
And I've been reading some of the information. I got it from our good friend.
Yeah, Catherine. God bless her.
Yeah, Catherine Wilgus, who's also a nurse.
Yep.
And but a different time, Afghanistan.
Right.
And she sent me all this information about you.
Yeah.
And I know we're going to get into some of these things that you volunteer for, because you're very active.
Yeah.
You're my kind of person. You're one who makes a difference. You know, that a lot of people just shuffle through life and complain, but you stand up and make a difference.
Well, thank you. I do what I can do.
Yeah. So I've got, you were in the Women's Army Corps from 69 to 80.
Yep.
An operating room technician.
Yep.
And a staff sergeant.
Yeah.
So during Vietnam, you were not in country, but when the soldiers got airlifted to like a MASH unit, then they go from there, they go out of country, and that's where you came in.
Right.
And from what I understand from our good friend Charlotte.
I mean, you mean Catherine?
I mean Catherine, yeah.
She's my good friend too.
Yeah, yeah. You took care of the worst of the worst.
Yeah, yeah.
And so did she, you know.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So you have a lot in common.
The biggest thing for me, and you know, I was in my early 20s. They called me the old lady because I was the oldest in the enlistment girls. And I was like 21, 22. I was 20 when I, you know, signed the paper, but when I got raised, I was 21, and everybody else was 17, 18. Yeah. And but anywho, the first time on the phase 2, I was stationed at Fitzsimmons in Denver, Colorado, and it was heavy at that time that we were getting a lot of vets in from Japan, and we wore pagers. Everybody wore pagers. You know, the surgeons, the doctors, everybody. And that pager went off at whatever hour, we had to go into the hospital, and then because the Air Force base was close. To the severe ones were choppered in to the pad, and if they were okay, they were ambulance in. And we would start surgery whatever time, and we would go through the whole night, day, whatever. We would not stop until the last trauma triage was done, and we still had to have our day surgeries to do as well. So,
oh, God bless you.
We would do 48, 72 hours at a time, and you'd be so riled up, and so, you know, nervous. You're saying we would go to the bowling alley, and we would bowl for a couple of hours to break that tension and
relieve the stress.
And relieve the stress. Yeah, but you know that's. But the surgeons, we had civilian surgeons working with us, you know, around. And I was blessed and honored to meet and work with some wonderful, wonderful surgeons, dedicated surgeons, that I cannot tell you how many times during surgery, and the doc would say, Sarge, you know, Private Wilson, got to hold this bladder. Damn it, I got to get a bigger bladder. Or, you know, get your hand in there, you know, pull it, because they didn't have the proper instrumentation.
That's right, because I read something about that. You're an innovator.
Not me, the surgeons were innovators.
Okay, yeah.
And that's why, you know, Nam was a shitty-ass war. But out of that, because of the type of injuries and all that was made, totally different than World War II or World War I or whatever. We were doing the jungle, and we were with a country that had no scruples, that they didn't care how they treated you or what, and the damages. New technology, new instruments were developed. I worked with 2 doctors. They were the innovators. And they said, I'm going to go home, because they all had workshops, you know, or a place that they would create the tool that they needed to do to pull back, you know, out the innards, you know, to have a wide blade, which is now called the Balfour, okay, and they created that. And so they would come in, say, you know, well, at the time I was going by Charlie as my nickname, and you know that's what they called me. Charlie, take this, you know, and get it microwaved, you know, and sterilize it out, and we would use it in that surgery. They had a particular procedure, and they'd use it, and they go, well, it's almost there, and then you know they kept on improving, and to this day, a lot of instruments that were developed and created doing NAM are still in use today. And just as the medical field keeps on embracing and doing, you find they create new tools and all. And that's the biggest, the war, like I said, was terrible, but the medical field and instrumentation exploded, and to making safer and better surgeries and being able to access the areas that the doctors needed to get into. I would put the retractors on the belt of my deal and hold back and be doing that and be passing the instruments and doing closure. I do closures.
I give you credit, my dude.
I'm sorry, I get talkative.
No,
we get passionate about that.
Our brothers, you did a lot for a lot of people, and you're really. I'm proud to have you here on the show. Because I don't think women veterans get all the accolades that they should.
No, they don't.
And I have some very good friends. Mm-hmm. One of them being Catherine, and the other one, my friend Linda Schwartz, who was part of the people. Linda was Air Force, and she was on a plane coming home, and the part of the plane came apart, and it was
Yeah.
She didn't know who she was when she got off the plane. She didn't recognize her own daughter. Oh. But nowadays, she's in the Ohio Veterans Hall of Fame, and she's in the Connecticut Hall of Fame, and we work together because my uncle. You talk about. Some guys don't want to talk when they come back from World War II. Well, he was awarded the Distinguished Cross for heroism on the beaches of D-Day. Oh. And he never really talked until I came home from the service. Mm-hmm. And I'm the only one nephew and our niece that was in the service. Mm-hmm. And he talked to me about what went on. And he put I was through the help of Linda Schwartz after he passed. He wanted to do something for them boys, as he said. And there's a nice big greenhouse in Rocky Hill Veterans Home and Hospital in Connecticut.
Oh, great.
It bears his name, his donation. And it's quite a story. I'm going to go up there hopefully in a future episode. I may be filming it with Linda, but enough of that because we're here to talk about you, my dear. Mm. And I see you had quite a few places that you were at, right?
Yeah.
You were in Germany, Texas, Korea, and Colorado. You want to take us to a tour after you got into the Army and of course you had to go to basic?
Yeah, that was Fort McClellan, Alabama. That was the Women's Army Corps base. That's where you all went, and it was funny, and. One of the cute things, I laugh about it a lot when some of our wacky whacks, get together and we're talking about when you gas, when you do the gas thing, and you go and we do at night run. I forgot what they call it, but you have to go in a hike and everything. Well, they put the two blindest girls in the back, okay, and then they set off the gas. So you have to take your glasses off. You're saying put your masks on, and we're like this. And Jane, she goes, Charlie, can you see? I can't see anything. I just see the dirt. We're eating dirt right now, and we did, and we can't hear the whistle or whatever because the noise. You're saying, and then. The DI comes up, and she comes up behind us, and we're still eating dirt, And she goes, Private Wilson, Private Schwartz, what the hell are you doing in the dirt? We're waiting for the bell, Sarge, DI. Get up! And it's like, well, you put the two blindest ones in the back, hello.
Yeah, basic training is.
Yeah. Oh, and then you do the gas. Go to the, Oh God! See, memories. You know what? I was 20. I'm 70. I'm 77 now. It's like, okay, over 50 years, I still. It's like yesterday. Yeah, the memories. You just certain things.
We have
you
something
don't,
in common. We're the same age.
you just some things just you don't change. I mean, I remember that first amputation I did, and I wasn't. And I was in the phase 2, and I had gone out the night before, and indulged a little bit.
You rascal.
I know the noise of that, and I didn't read my notes, and so I just showed up in the operating room, and you're saying I'm standing there on the Mayo, passing the instruments, doing this and that. Next thing, I'm, because the doctors are all in front of me, and I'm just, doing this. And next thing I know, I have a freaking leg on my Mayo tray. Oh, what?
You're a strong woman, my dear.
I definitely got to read the notes before and look up the Latin words, of what because they do that. They'll put it all in Latin. You're saying then you have to look it all up and figure.
Why would they put it in Latin?
Because it would make me to research what the surgery is, and so, they'll use those big. Instead of just saying leg, they'll say, well, the right femoral, blah, 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 and so it's...
Doctor terms.
Yeah, the doctor terms, and they would do it to the residents too, first terms, but it was funny. But then from Fort McClellan, then I went to San Antonio, Texas for my phase 2 operating room, and that's when I started really getting the Vietnam guys in, because I actually, some of us, we were asked to stay on, stay on a little bit longer than that, because they didn't have enough staff coming in. So I stayed there, and Fort Sam, it was all everything, all fields, you're saying, but it was predominantly the burn unit as well. Sam is known for burn. It was the burn center, and but they did orthopedics, neurology, neuro, everything. And so I stayed there, and I got more experience. And then from there, I went to Alabama, Fort Rucker, and it was terrible, but it was good in the respect that it was a small base. The helicopter school was there, and at Fort Rucker, and we I did that, and they had a lot of tornadoes. And the biggest thing that I remember, and I learned so much, and really opened my eyes to how the military community helps. They help the community, because the whole trailer area got totally wiped out.
Yeah.
And then we did all the surgeries for them on them. But and then I said I got to get out of Dodge, because it was too. And then I went to Germany, and I was at Landstuhl and at the operating room there. But then we had so many that we would rotate. The OR techs would rotate to go out, and then I had emergency room. I was the NCO of the emergency room, and then I was the NCO for labor and delivery and OB/GYN clinic, and a lot of wives were there and saying, "Oh, we're trying to get pregnant. We've done everything," and you just had, they had to just come to Germany, because everybody got pregnant.
Okay.
Yeah. And then from there, and Germany was fabulous. That's where I learned how to ride a motorcycle.
Yeah, you still ride today, you said.
Yes,
right?
I do. I've got over 200,000 miles under my belt already, and I'm working on my third 100,000.
Wow.
Yeah, I go all over. It's I always say, when I'm on my bike, I have no disability. It is my wind therapy. It's my calmness. It's, keep my shit together.
Do you ride with a group like AMVETS or?
Yeah, I ride. I'm a combat vet.
Combat veterans?
Yeah,
I know
actually,
that, yeah.
Catherine sponsored me into the combat veterans.
Yeah, I know she's into that. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm also a Legionnaire rider. I also ride with Motormaids, the oldest women's riding club in North America and Canada, and it's great. I've been with them 16 years now. And then let's see, I'm also with the Moving Violations Motorcycle Club up in Boston. I ride with them, and we do a lot of community work.
So you ride all the way to Boston?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
All the way out to California, too. All the way up to Canada, too.
Here's something, my friend. Here's something. Villages for Veterans, and I know you're with them because we're not going to talk all about Villagers for Veterans, but I know you're with them, and they have Rocky Lynn coming down. You met Rocky?
Right. Yes.
He rides all over the country.
Yeah. Actually,
Gold Star families.
Yep. He actually was at our gala, and he recorded that song that he wrote. And I just found out, Maria told me that, he actually had videoed the whole thing. And it is part of his thing that he's doing.
Do you ever go on YouTube?
Yes and no. It depends. I'm not.
Do you ever go on Central Florida?
You told me. I already went on Central Florida.
Rocky's on there.
Okay.
He's sitting right over here performing. It was acoustic guitar, and he was singing his one song I love. Mm-hmm. It's called "My Father's Guitar."
Yeah,
and he's
that is very, very good.
On Amazon, he's got a video all about Where I Belong, and it talks about his life story. Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe you're going to ride up with Rocky sometime.
Yeah, I most definitely. But actually, I don't know if you know, and I'm the secretary of the Villagers for Veterans.
Yes, I know.
Oh, okay.
I know.
So I know.
I know.
Yeah, and it just have to do this. 30-second deal is that I'll never forget, as we have moved down and building it and all. I remember 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago. There was 7 of us, and we initially started just talking about what we do for the woman veteran, and meeting at Catherine's house, and we were all there. We would meet, and Jan Wildman at Gators was part of it. Vicky,
yeah, I know Jan.
Vicky, myself. Unfortunately, one of the ladies passed away, and. Tanya, it was, and it's just started, blossoming and working together. We need to get the homeless women veterans off the street. And
we probably should explain because some people actually don't know what Ashley's House is.
Oh, okay.
You're right. Ashley's House is a women transitioning out of the military. Because like and I know, when we came home, we didn't get the best of treatment.
Oh, no.
And these ladies, they've been in the service, you've been fed, you've been housed, you've had certain things happen to you, and now you're back in what we call the real world.
Yeah.
You're back in the world.
Yeah.
And this is a great thing that they're doing, Ashley's House and Ashley's Cottage, where they take these ladies coming out of the military and help them transition into what is supposed to be normal life, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's also, for any vet, right now, it's not just, yes, we will help any vet coming out of the service, but we are really focusing on our veteran sisters that are living in the force, living in the cars, sofas, that they don't know. they're poor. You know, they get their money, but they don't know how to handle their stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and so
Or they've had something that happened to them while they were in the service, and
You're right.
they need some kind of help. But Villagers for Veterans, which is located in the villages down here in Florida, they do not only Ashley's house, they do mobile, you know, getting people from mobile and all that.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
Housing and dogs and whatever.
Four-prong program.
They got, they got everything.
Yeah.
You know.
So we do four-prong. Four prongs. You know, for our guys, you know, we do support dogs. We train them, anything, and we, you know, if the vet needs extra training, you know, we pay for that. We give out track chair. Well, we didn't do a track chair this year because one, we didn't have anything, but you know, funds are tight. So donate.
Donate. Go on the website, villagersforveterans.org, I believe it is.
Right.
Yeah, but you do a lot of other charity things, but you did 11 years, most of it an operating room and everything. And
11 years operating room, right? Yeah.
You're one tough lady because your stomach had to growl a few times, you know, and what you've done is there's a lot of men out there now. They're saying, God, you know, and I got a song a friend of mine wrote. His name is Michael Hertz, and it's called "Angels in the Storm." It's all about the nurses during Vietnam, and you may hear it sometime.
Well, I sort of, you know, when you said that, you're saying the angels in the storm. I think I have heard it a couple of times, but you also, Bob, I get overwhelmed. You know, I get teary. I get emotional.
Oh, I'm sure you do.
I have to just sort of shut down.
Well, you know what? Michael Hertz, the singer, songwriter, and Vietnam veteran who wrote that song, is a dear friend of mine.
Oh.
And I told him I was going to meet with you and what you were in the operating room and all that stuff, you know, about you. And I said, you know, I'd like to incorporate that song into this show.
Oh, I would really. Is he going to be here to sing it?
No. But when the final show comes out, you're going to hear about Angels in the Storm.
Oh, okay.
Her face was stern, but her heart would cry. The dust off settles and out of the sky. Time is of the essence here. She'd have to wait to shed a tear. The days were rough, the nights were long, but she was tough and she was strong. The task was hard, she'd perform, for she was an angel in the storm. Yes, she was an angel in the storm. She left home as the girl next door. She would grow to be so much more. An American girl, an American dream. Things are not always what they seem. With hopes that she could stem the tide, adventurous heart would be her guide. She could have stayed home and been safe and warm, but she was an angel in the storm. Yes, she was an angel in the storm. She traded in her old blue jeans for jungle boots and green fatigues. She could not know she'd pay the cost for experience gained, of innocence lost.
As a Vietnam veteran, somebody, you know, especially he's been in countries and watched his brothers get airlifted out, and then what you did to help save those lives and, you know, put everybody back together as best they could.
I had.
They love you. The veterans love you, baby.
Yeah, okay.
I love you, baby.
when I was stationed in Korea at the 121, I had the MASH units under my power, and I'd have to go out and saying I went to the MASH unit that was on MASH, and the office there had all the cutouts, had the sign deal, so we got pictures and all, and they would actually took all the pictures, when the landings and all like this. There, I had the MASH unit, because I would have to go out on a quarterly basis to all the MASH units and open them up and see if everything, replace any outdated stuff, and they say that in the military, you're not supposed to fraternize, with your officers and stuff. Korea is like, out the door because it's such a small, and we partied, and I, with the guys, the helicopter guys, and became really good friends. A lot of Pabst Blue Ribbons we would be drinking over there and stacking on.
You're from the Midwest, are you?
No, Korea, that's what you're...
No, I mean, I got a friend of mine I was in the service with from Illinois.
Yeah.
And he came to visit me in Connecticut.
Uh-huh.
And we went out to have a couple of beers, and the barmaid looks at him and says, "What would you like?" He says, "I'll have a bottle of blue." She said, "What'd he say?" "Bottle of blue." He means Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Yeah,
It wasn't that big a cellar up in New England.
Yeah, no.
But yeah.
Only if I, went and say, but Korea, they say, oh, it's a Cold War. It's, no, nothing. It's like, no, bullshit, because the tunnels were alive. A command sergeant major, in the processing thing, he says, I'm not going to the zone again. I'm not going to go. He had his pistol, shot himself in the foot. And the guy looked at him, he says, well, that was really stupid. Yeah. And I just turned to him, I said, well, if you come, you may be across my stretcher, to have it, because, you take the bullet out, you sew it up,
and off you go.
Off you go, and it's like that. But I came in to Seoul, Jimmy Carter was president, and that was a tree chopping incident. I don't know the tree chopping incident, if you don't know, because American, what is it? That flag paper, they only tell you what the government wants to tell you. The states didn't know anything about it, and not too much, unless you're up in the echelon involved in it. But there was a tree in the line, a site, and it was more, sort of like in the middle, but leaning U.S. side. So they sent a platoon out. And they shot the officer first, and then killed all of them.
Wow.
And then another at the end of my tour, we got really close because the choppers took the dual for medical stuff, but also to move the missiles around. Yeah. One of the missiles malfunctioned at nighttime, and they worked with South Korea, North Korea, saying, yes, you can land, come down, because they had no lateral, they had up and down, that was it, and straight, they couldn't turn to, so they had permission to land. Did the same thing, and then I had them. I was on duty, and Heather was was a radiologist, X-ray, and they were our buddies that we partied with the night before, and I probably within 4 or 5 months I was sent back, and I was very anti. Very anti, because USA didn't do anything or retaliate or anything. I was sitting in a bar, and even the bartender, he says, ma'am, if you're going to be bitching and carrying on like this, please leave the bar. I says, you don't know what shit I've gone through. You know, they don't. So,
No.
but this, I'm sorry, I don't want to leave. And then and then I stayed and then moved. I got out in Colorado. That's it.
Yeah. You know, you and I are the same generation. And you can relate, and I can relate. It wasn't the best homecoming. It was not a homecoming at all.
No.
And I know.
Not unless you call it bottles.
Yeah, I know it affected you tremendously because you told me that, and I could see because what you've been through, trying to put all these people back together again, and yeah, but I am, and I think you're kind of like this too. I don't dwell on the past. I look out the front window. I don't look in the rear view mirror.
Right.
I'm proud of my service, and I'm proud of your service and what you did for men and women. But we do what we do now because we want to make a difference. And, and this is what I like about you, because I started reading about you. And you do a lot. I've been in the veterans community for over 40 years. I'm involved in a lot of things.
Yeah, but I've never, when I got more into veterans community, when I landed here in Florida.
Yeah, okay. But you volunteer for AIDS Action in Boston, Newburgh Street Community, Women's Health Care, the AIDS Walk, Harbor
to the Bay.
A 126-mile bike ride.
Yep, and my moving violations, my motorcycle club, we are the moto crew for it. And we would keep the bikers, cyclists safe, keep them, if they get lost, we round them up, and doing all this. I do also the, oh my God, I just...
Veterans Suicide Prevention.
Yeah. In fact, that's part of my donations.
Of course, Villages for Veterans, we talked about that one.
Yeah.
And Ashley's House. So what I'm trying to get to is some people come back from the war, whatever your war is, and they dwell on it. Well, there's certain things that happen. I was fortunate. I was very fortunate. I was in the Air Force. I was supposed to be on a plane. I got bumped off. 11 guys got killed.
Wow.
I was there when a helicopter blew out of the sky. But nothing, I didn't get wounded or anything. But, but you still reflect on that.
Oh,
you think about that. Yeah. And the men and women who saw a lot, like you did, you come back and you're making a difference.
Yeah, I try.
That's what it's all about, making a difference.
I try.
And that's why I wanted you on the show, my dear.
Oh, thank you. I try.
Besides that, Catherine told me I better.
Well, I tell you what, speaking of Catherine, she is a powerhouse. I am so honored and so blessed to call her a friend. She's helped me immensely. And another one is Felicia, and her last name is Wilgus. And no, I don't think a connection, but Flea, Flea, I never did anything veteran. No American Legion, nothing. I was so locked away because I've been assaulted by Legion. In fact, when first time I came, and I went to 347, that was my first Legion. And I walked in and I go and I was checking it out. And this drunk vet turned around and started grabbing me. No, this isn't funny. He started.
I can't believe it.
He started kissing on me. Oh, good, we got somebody to kiss on. I'm sorry, but
We got kids watching.
I'm sorry. Well, I apologize, but that's how I reacted. And here to walk in, supposedly a safe place, and to be manhandled and slobbered over, and within the first 30 seconds, being in that building.
Well,
But but anyway, but Flea and Catherine, they are my mentors. They have been, and Flea walked me through and mentored me there, and to where I joined the Riders. I was the past secretary. I was a captain, ride captain, all like this. And if I may take this moment, to all my brothers and sisters, I never had a welcome home. Nobody tell me welcome home until I came to the state of Florida. And that was the first time I ever heard somebody say, welcome home. And first time I heard it, I'm doing this exactly what I had. I started crying because those were foreign words to me. And they still are at times. And I've learned to say, thank you, thank you.
But well, I have a quote here that I got from Catherine about you. It says, Charlotte wants people to know that women served, they spilled blood, and they died too. In fact, 6 women died in Vietnam. They're on the wall.
Yep.
Next to my brothers, acknowledge us, help us, thank us. And, it's time to go. I think we got something going on here.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but I think there's something going on here. But I have a way of saying goodbye. But before I do, I just want to say welcome home, sister. All right, you ready? We're going to look at that.
Welcome home, brother.
Okay, we're going to look at that camera right there. Ready?
Uh-huh.
To all our veterans out there, our active military and their families, we salute you for all you do. Till next time, thank you, Charlotte.
I'm sorry.
Today I'm at AMVETS Post 2006, a major sponsor of Central Florida Salute, and I want to introduce to you the commander here, Ronnie Mack. Ronnie, tell us a little bit about AMVETS 2006. Where are you located? And
we are at 500 North Canal Street, Leesburg, Florida. It's right off of 441, between 441 and Main Street on Canal. Can't miss us. And we're a veterans organization, along with, we have an auxiliary, and we have sons of veterans that are related some form or another to a veteran. And we do a lot for a lot of charitable donations and stuff to charities in the area and in the county. And we're a major sponsor to Central Florida Salute. We're proud of it. We're glad to be. You guys do a heck of a job, and we'll sponsor you as long as I'm here, we're going to sponsor you. So.
Well, I'll tell you what, we do, Sue and I really appreciate it. We're a 2-person operation. Yep. And what we try to do with education and supporting our veterans community, and you supporting us is major thing. It's major.
We're glad to do it, Bob. We're glad to do it.
And you have sons here, you have auxiliary here. You've got a website too, if somebody wants to join.
Yep, it's don't punch into www. It's amvets-2006.org, and it'll take you right to our website, Facebook page, and all that's there, and you'll be able to find that. The webmaster, he tries to get the calendar on there every month, anything pertinent. There's a lot of other links on there for veterans to find out where to get help for certain claims and stuff like that. Our webmaster's really into that stuff. That's the guy you ought to be interviewing right there. So,
well, you know what,
he's got
Ronnie?
A lot of stuff.
You have a lot of clout. You tell him to talk to me, and we'll get him on the show, okay?
I can do that.
All right. But I just want to, on behalf of Sue and myself, we want to thank AMVETS 2006 because you guys are the major players behind us, and we appreciate it.
But we just wish we could do more. We really do.
Thank you.
Thank you. You guys are awesome.